join our board, so he'll be hopefully here next month's meetings, and that's great. He's a great guy and really involved in some of these like access type programs that I think will be really, really helpful for us. So we're excited to have him on board. Aren't we, Rod?
Absolutely.
Rod is excited. That's what matters. The other thing, just as a note to the board, January is when we do the governance structure, right? So the approval of chair, vice chair, those kind of things. So I'm proposing we use the same governance committee as last year, which was Allison, Larry, Rod, and Heidi. If y'all are okay with that. Heidi's not here to. She'll say yes. Okay. So obviously people that are interested, reach out. If you all have an interest, reach out to the board members. I think folks understand how that goes, right? But feel free to contact that group. Let's see. Otherwise, we're excited heading into the holidays here and looking forward to finish the year strong. So why don't we start with our action items, the first one of which is to approve the board meetings from November 21st. So moved. All right, moved and seconded. Thank you, Mr. Harris. So moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, good. We're moving right along. Finance Committee. It was not as efficient as usual because I had to take the gavel this month, and Rod was not able to join us. The biggest thing we did during the session was discuss the budget for next year, which is we'll go into those details today, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on that. We did some work. Our audit discussion this month is around payroll. We had 3 minor findings, but nothing too nerve-wracking. And mostly it was around, we have good records, but didn't have it all in one place that people could see. So working through those issues. The financial reports continue to be strong, right? Gwen's not here tonight, but we keep talking about, 10 years ago versus now, the numbers couldn't look more different, and so proud of all the work everyone's done to get us in a really strong position and what that's allowing us to do in the community. We went through the investment of funds reports. As folks know, we have a lot of cash on hand. We have, Larry's got good plans for almost all of it, right?
All of it.
And we were looking forward, actually. It's interesting, we haven't written too many checks from the infrastructure fund. The money's approved and ready to go, but the projects, and even some of them have shovels in the ground, right, Helene? But they haven't, so looking to do some good things there. But also that money is making money, so there's gonna be more money available to do projects going forward too, so that's terrific. We do have 2 items on the consent agenda. One was around property and general liability insurance, where we're extending coverages we had before, correct? And then similar on the approval of a contract for excess workers' compensation, so when we cap out on things. So those 2 items are on the consent agenda. They were discussed in detail at the board, or at the committee meeting, I think, pretty thoroughly. So I would propose that we approve those 2 items. If anybody wants to second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any questions about those 2 items? No? Roll call, right?
Yep. All right, Ms. Beardo?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Yes. Mr. Cassie?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets? Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
All right. So the next action item was around the budget. I think this was just too large to go through on the consent agenda. Some of you have already seen it, so we won't, ask Larry to go through fairly expeditiously, but, we're dealing with a lot of taxpayers' money, and we want to deal with it properly, so I thought it would be a good time to get into some of those details and make sure everyone was comfortable as we move forward, which is a very positive message overall.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
It's funny to get this straight eye contact.
Turning to the second page, we're going to be talking through the agency's strategic budget priorities. I'll also share with you a couple of the key planning assumptions that affect both our operating budget and our capital budget, and we'll also talk through very briefly the income statement for the operating budget. Turning to page 3. The agency's strategic priorities for the construction of the 23 plan include focusing on increasing ridership to RIM levels and enhancing service quality, establish the foundation for long-term financial sustainability, Key investments are being made in human capital, in addition to enhancing the partnerships with external community and that support our long-term growth, and then finally expanding the commitment towards infrastructure revitalization. Turning to page 4, a couple of comments just to give context to the construction of the budget. The 2023 plan is approximately 4.1% greater than the 22 operating budget. The 2023 plan is approximately 8.7% greater than the 22 forecast. These are two particularly strong statements when you think about the fact that we are enhancing our service in the fiscal year of 23, in addition to making key investments in systems, people, and infrastructure, along with the acknowledgement that we are navigating through an inflationary environment. Turning to page 6 and giving the group some perspective around our key revenue assumptions for the 23 plan. The ridership projections include enhancements made to the service portfolio that will affect the phase 2 of RIM. In addition to a couple other comments here, we are including 7th and 8th grade participation in support of CPS. Fare rates are going to remain constant for 2023. And then the final point I'll make here on this page is that the sales tax projection has been received from the University of Cincinnati's Economic Center has been taken at face value. Turning to page 7, looking at the, I'm sorry.
One clarification. I know it says on that page that the ARP 1 and 2 and the 5307 fully awarded. They've been awarded primarily the ARP money. We just have to go claim it, right?
That is correct. That is correct. So the expectation is that we will draw down ARP 1, ARP 2, and 5307 fully in the calendar year of 23.
We're going through this. Are the UC Economic Center numbers generally conservative?
I think, Rod, I would just add one more comment for context. The 23 plan is consistent with recent run rates. And so as we look at the actual funds that have been received over the last couple of months, I would say that they have not really been particularly, they've not been more aggressive than what the recent run rate would suggest. Okay?
I think it's the same. It's what the county uses to do their own projections and things as well.
That is correct.
Right?
That's correct. Turning to page 7, giving a couple comments around key expense assumptions that have been baked into the 23 plan. We are in the final year of our CBA as relates to wages and benefits. There'll be a new process that will be initiated in the latter part of Q3 that will seek to develop a CBA for the next period. We also have got a key planning assumption around vacancy, which is at 5% for the year. And then I would also say the last bullet point on this page is the other expenses. It has been influenced by assessments that are being made for BRT and Metro Now implementations. Turning to page 9 and looking at the income statement. For 2023, the first column there, we'll see that ridership is coming in at a total of 12.3 million rides. Breaking that down into a couple of manageable points here. The regular ridership is anticipated to increase 16.1%. Now, on the surface, that might seem like a fairly significant number, but it is important to note here that we are changing the measurement mechanism that is going to track our ridership for 2023. That is expected to be in place by the start of the fiscal year. And so as a result of that change in the measurement mechanism, which specifically is the APC, or automated passenger counter, that accounts for approximately 12% jump year over year. So again, it's not that actual number of bodies is going to increase. The way that we track the integrity or the accuracy of ridership is going to change. And as a direct result of that, that's going to lead to a 12% increase in the numbers.
I want you to pause just a second to make sure everybody understands what's happening there. So what it really means is we've been under-reporting ridership. That's correct. Right? So we're not getting more riders, we're just more accurately reflecting the number.
The technology we've been using is 12 years old, and we are upgrading. The board approved us to upgrade to APCs during this calendar year, and we've been successful in upgrading our fleet with APC. So we're really excited about being closer.
So the core component for the increase in ridership beyond the transition and the measurement tool really revolves around a 4.1% growth in actual riders. Second bullet point, CPS ridership does show a modest growth of 1.9%. We do believe in terms of the reality that there might be some opportunity in that number as we look at 2023, but we're projecting 1.9%. Metro fare revenue does show modest growth at this point, given those two planning assumptions around CPS and true service enhancements. Another bullet point here on this page, the ARP grants, again, as we alluded to earlier, are expected to be fully drawn down by the Q3 23 time period. And then the last bullet point, other expense is favorable due to operating reserve being fully funded. So we've made a decision as we transition through the end of the year to acknowledge the board policy, which previously required 2 months of operating reserve to be set aside. And so what we're doing is based on our current reserve position, going ahead and fully funding that reserve requirement by 12/31. So that basically suggests that we will not need to carve off any portion of our operating income in 2023 to formally fund that 2-month operating reserve requirement. So looking at those major assumptions and kind of pulling it all together, the 2023 plan calls for $194.5 million in total revenue, total expense at approximately $152.8 million, suggesting a surplus of in this case, of $41.7 million. And we'll talk further about how that's going to be deployed here in fairly short order.
I think Rod would normally, this is when he would say that the 41 surplus is less than the $45 million from the federal government. So it's not an ongoing surplus, but it's a nice one for this year. Isn't that what you would say, Rod?
I wasn't going to, but I would.
Okay.
I was actually giggling at how far when I was looking at these numbers. So,
Oh, for sure. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, transitioning to our capital budget for 2023. I'm on page 11. We do have service efficiencies that will continue to positively affect the fleet utilization. We are anticipating the delivery of 14 paratransit and 25 Gillig buses in 2023. We do have continued investment in technology included in the capital budget. Examples would be improvements in several of our operating systems, and we do have a collision avoidance technology which is being incorporated into our fixed route buses. And then the last bullet point here to make note of, the operating surplus set aside is being set aside to support BRT land acquisition and corridor construction as we think about the future state. Turning to page 13 and specifically talking through key components of our 23 budget for capital. We do have, as I suggested, providing funding for 25 40-foot buses and 14 paratransit vehicles. We've got 2023 funding for new street signage across the Hamilton County area. We've got 2023 funding for the Government Square renovation. There's also significant dollars being set aside for enhancing the functionality of the Queensgate facility. And then finally, as I alluded to earlier, we do have dollars set aside for the collision avoidance system that'll be installed in the agency's rolling stock. And so looking at the 2023 budget to the far right of the page for capital, making a distinction between the local match for FTA and ODOT grants at $9.3 million rounded, in contrast to the local projects or the funding that will be required by the agency to support everything that we are not able to identify grants at approximately $29.9 million. So the total capital budget for 2023 is being brought forth at $39.1 million. Turning the page to 14 and pulling all of the comments previously articulated between the operating budget and the capital budget. We believe that the 2023 budget clearly advances Metro's strategic agenda. The capital plan total investment is approximately $78.4 million, which is a function of prior year commitments and the 23 budget, as just recently discussed. The investment portfolio currently stands in excess of $120 million. The budget provides for approximately $42 million, as a capital contribution as we chart the path forward for some of the infrastructure and BRT aspirations that the agency has in the coming years. And then the last point here, the projected 2023 year-end capital fund is available for long-term investments is approximately $60 million, which covers the local match required to fully operationalize 2 BRT corridors. Again, just pausing here to make sure we're grounded. We've got an estimate of approximately $150 million per corridor for BRT. To the extent that we are able to identify grant funding that would suggest an 80% split by the grantor and 20% underwritten by the agency, if you add those two numbers together for two corridors, you end up with approximately $60 million. And so when you hear me representing on a monthly basis that the agency has $120 million in the bank, figuratively speaking, once we make the appropriate provision for all of the reserve requirements, not the least of which is our contribution here for future state on BRT, another point would be the operating reserve requirement. When we go through all of those requirements that have to be made, we are just in a position to cover the local match required for 2 corridors in the future. So there's still lots of heavy lifting to be done. The agency needs to continue to focus on opportunities to grow revenue, addressing fair revenue and some of the issues around providing the service that we have planned. But as we chart the path forward, we definitely feel we're positioned for success.
Yeah. So said differently, we have plans for all that $120 million.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
What is this? What does Queensgate functionality mean?
So there are several capital projects that are intended to increase the functionality of that particular location. Without having the list right in front of me, there's infrastructure requirements to, I believe, some of the doors.
Larry?
Yes.
I'll do this. Those facilities were built in the early 70s, and we've done next to nothing to upgrade those since the early 70s. So there is a lot.
So it's a rehaul of the whole facility.
Absolutely.
All right,
And there's no way we can get it done in a year or two. So this is something we'll continue to come back to the board to upgrade the facilities that we have.
Yeah, and Haled went through those high-level plans, right, last month, I believe, right? So it's consistent with that discussion, yeah.
Yes, Rod, for some additional context here, I've got the detail in front of me now. There's a door replacement project. We're going to be replacing the retaining wall and a lane addition for approximately $2 million, a locker room, bathroom enhancement, things of that nature.
Yeah. I just didn't get what you were saying in functionality. That could have been a driveway. I don't know.
Driveway is part of what needs to be done there as well. Again, we've ignored them for decades.
Yeah.
You have to be able to get in the building.
Yeah.
That concludes my comments. If I'll
Yeah,
take
so,
any
I mean,
questions.
Right, so this is a big part of our responsibility, right? We're talking about a $150 million budget here. So please, I know some of you were through real detailed questions at the committee, but this is our time to talk. I can tell you that it's much more fun to have surpluses than to be going the other way when we'd be talking about cutting back on service, which we did for several years. So the fact we're able to do this and invest in more service and all those things is really terrific. But, Larry wants the hard questions, right? Is that what you said?
Always.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a question, but I will say
Yes.
that I think, when you look at this and you think about when I started and where we were, and then to see the intentionality and the thought behind what Larry and you guys are doing to put these things, the surpluses, the people's money into a good place, which we have to always remember that. And I don't see people always doing that. So that makes me proud of you guys and how you're leading this. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We made promises, we're going to live up to them, right?
Absolutely.
So I would move that we accept the budget as proposed,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Hinton. Probably moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, last thoughts? I know you want to say something.
Yeah. Just a comment that There is a large dollar value that we have there, and it is exciting. We also have a lot of goals that we're working towards, and we'll still have to be very careful with this to achieve all of them. The facilities,
No question about it.
the alternative fuels, the BRT. So we're in a good spot. We're working hard, but we have to be very careful with this as we move forward. And we will be.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. So,
Yeah, no, thank you. I think that's really critical, right? I think you both kind of, you alluded to it, we're fiduciary responsible for the taxpayers' money, and we have to use it responsibly. And it's exciting that we're in a position to meet the goals that we set out, and let's stay attuned to that and not get, it's easy in the big numbers to get a little bit cavalier if you're not careful. All right?
Good, Claire? Okay. Ms. Burdone?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
yes.
Mr. Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Yes. Mr. Cassie?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets? Yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. That was pretty much it for the Finance Committee. Planning and Ops.
Planning and ops.
We're gonna be here all night now.
Oh, snap.
So on that topic, I didn't run a stopwatch, but we did come in shorter than finance.
I said I was there. It wasn't efficient.
1 out of 12 on the year, we'll take it. But John did try and make it close by addressing the good news extensively. And there is a lot of good news, excellent staff. Daryl, it's not a month without him getting an award, CEO Communicator of the Year. And we talked about how that's really an award for the entire staff.
Absolutely.
Earlier comments about being involved with the bridge project yielded a report on us having members on that committee now. I think we maybe did before, but making sure about that. We had a DBE business meeting November 9th with great turnouts, and that is continuing to build our DBE participation rate. We talked about EV charging stations.
We got to give John the chance to say how much money we've spent.
$3.4 million.
$3.4 million.
Oh, thank you very much. And then a long list of seasonal events, Shop with a Cop, Stuff the Bus. So that was great. We also had a discussion on zero emission bus planning, which we will be talking about in months to come as facilities and rolling stock, as the budget says, and all that comes together. We do have 4 items for the consent agenda. And I'm going to do something a little different on the consent agenda because I think we have a guest speaker. Troy, you want to come forward? Thank
Doing
you.
great.
Take the podium.
Well, good evening. My name is Troy Miller. Some of you know me. I'm president of Business Station of Amalgamated Transit Union for Cincinnati. I passed out a flyer, the FTA, a flyer I think it's sent out in November. The reason this is important, in the infrastructure bill, there was some language that we had to have sit down and have a joint safety committee. Now, Metro had worked together, had a safety committee for years, but there were certain guidelines we had to meet. Myself, Mike Wild, his team, we got it done, which is good because there's a lot of transits don't have them done yet. I mean, this letter is from the FDA saying this has got to be done by December 31st or you could lose funding. If you go to 6.1 of this safety plan, that's basically the revision section we did. A lot of it was already, as I sent it to our international, and they looked at it. They said most of it's pretty good. We're good to go. It was a change in that. So I'm actually happy to have this done in a quick movement to get it done. Thank the team for working on it, getting it done to keep the funding coming for the future. And I'll end with this. Congratulations, Donna, because you're retiring. I know she told me that earlier, but
There's still time.
there's still time. But that's really about actually here it is right here. This was the section we added in the yellow. We made some changes, added that in. to make it compliant. A lot of the stuff was already compliant. We was working with the safety committee when we had assaults. A lot of that stuff wasn't getting reported. Metro was, but a lot of it wasn't getting reported nationally. Some of the changes nationally was if you spit on a person, it has to be reported now. Before it wasn't. So a lot of those changes have changed in the guidelines, which is good. I mean, I have other transits I've talked to. They haven't even started working on the safety plan yet. They're not getting to it. So I'm just glad to say we was able to get this done. Thanks.
Troy, thank you, and thank the leadership of the ATU for working with us to get this done. Thank you.
Right. Were we the first ones to get this done?
I don't know.
Let's take credit
I would
then.
say we're pretty close.
No, and I think it's important, right? As everybody knows, the safety of the operators and the passengers and the community is the most important thing for us. So I think it's great that we're all working together to make that happen. And thanks, Mike and Troy, for your leadership on that.
And this is not a first for SORTA. We are often out ahead on safety. Every time safety plans come out, we're out ahead on something. And it is great that everybody can be involved in being out ahead on that. So we have to approve the safety plan. That is part of the consent agenda. We also have 3 procurement items. I'll go over those real quick. We have 2 modifications, one to our BRT consultant services. In short, there's been more engagement with BRT in a very good way. And so we had to add some funds to continue all the engagement, the survey, the community awareness, the stakeholder interviews necessary to get to that BRT project. We did discuss how to handle that in future circumstances, that we should try and be out ahead of any expansion like this. It is $218,000, so want to make sure everybody on the board is aware of that. We also have a modification to some work on the access facility, moving the fuel tanks, or the fuel tanks, I'm not sure, and then some resulting traffic flow patterns and similar elements. So that needs to be done. And then the last is the Kings Island Park and Ride. I think we've usually done this every year in December, but we are now doing it for 4 years. I think there's slightly fewer spots than we had in the past.
Yes.
But pretty much a continuation of what we've been doing with that park and ride. And that is the consent agenda. I will move that we pass it if I can get a second. Second. Probably moved and seconded. I think this is a roll call. Yeah. Oh, questions? Yeah. Sarah.
What exactly are we getting for an additional $218,000 on the
Great
BRT,
question.
study?
So,
That's going to answer that.
oh, I'll let him. Okay.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So this is, once we started the BRT project, we had, budgeted for outreach, public involvement, interviews, and so on. And just the overwhelming support and interest in this project really made us to expand that scope. So the plan is to have about 45 to 50 of these engagements at different events, council meetings, public reach out, as well as surveys and so on. This is just we weren't expecting that excitement about the project and the level of involvement. So it's all of that, about 50 more engagement from the consultants, as well as extended surveys and preparation of material and to share with the public.
Okay, thank you. That's a good problem to have.
Yes, indeed.
I think we also did a little bit more external engagement with other BRT systems, right? Is that some of the total money is in there? Or no?
No, this is more talking to the people.
Okay,
here
just
in
with the
our
people,
community.
okay.
But we have done a lot of external communication with systems that run BRT to make sure we're making the right decisions.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
My apologies for moving towards a vote without questions.
That's okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, it's not in this. Yes.
All right, I think we can
All
proceed.
right. Ms. Burdone?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Cassie?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor? Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
And that concludes planning and ops.
You are correct.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lots going on. When you have all this exciting stuff happening. All right, ridership report. I believe Andy's going to do that. Amy's off getting more businesses to sign up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pinch hitting this afternoon, so bear with me as we work through the report. I'm going to talk in broad terms about some of the trends that we're seeing in ridership. Very consistent with what we've seen over the last 5 months. So if we turn to page 2 in the report, you can see ridership remains strong. It is also above 2021 figures and also continues to report above budgeted amounts. I'll notice in here as we recover from the pandemic that recovery is not evenly spread throughout the system. You can see in the chart that local ridership continues to report stronger than expected and also coming back faster than express ridership. So if you think of express as more of the downtown commuter set, that we've seen it across the country, that ridership is coming back slower than our local ridership. But for November, trends are very similar to what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 months with respect to ridership. If we turn to page 3 of the report, you can see that what hit we took in 2020 with respect to the pandemic, 2019 being the purple line, we saw steady recovery. And again, in 2020, we're seeing very encouraging signs. Nationally, we're ahead of the curve in terms of recovering to pre-pandemic levels, which is that top blue line in 2019. So we're encouraged by that. And there's really nothing anomalous to report in November. Things were pretty steady and consistent with what we've seen in the prior months. Lastly, I think we'll touch on page 6, which is the local and express missed trips. November was slightly better than October in terms of total missed trips. I'm on page 6. One more. There we go. Obviously an area of focus for us. And again, November reports out very similar to what we've seen over the last 5 months. I'm sure there are others. If there's more detailed questions that you'd like to get into with the ridership report, we can have those questions answered for you.
I guess we know the answer here is getting more folks hired. We have a large training class. Just any updates on?
We currently have 55 operators in our operator training class. It's one of the largest classes we've ever had. Our attraction is going much better, so we are actually hiring more operators. We're working diligently on retention because it's a combination of attraction and retention. And we're really hoping that we can work through this in the upcoming months.
Any sense? I know we're not very deep into it, so we did the expansion on the 4th.
Yes, we did the expansion on the 4th. Still too early to talk about trends and whatnot. I will tell you the planning department worked really, really hard. The expansion, the extra service in the county only required us to need 7 more operators, which is why we were comfortable in moving forward with that. We believe coming the first of the year, by the end of the first quarter, we'll make some significant progress. This keeps us awake at night as well, all of us. I think John will probably, his head will look like Larry's by the end of the year if we don't get there. He will lose all of his hair. I'm sorry, Larry.
I don't know what anybody knew what that meant, but thank you. Wow. Okay.
Team effort.
Right. But that's critical. So again, if you know folks that are looking for a good job, please let them know. Thanks, Andy. Any other questions for? He zipped out while we were talking about the other one. Andy skipped out before we had us. We couldn't ask all the hard questions. He left us. Oh. Okay.
Okay, want to share with the group our 2022 operating results for the month of November. The statement of operations we'll be talking through that will include both the revenue and expense charts, key drivers, and the detailed profit and loss statement. Page 4 gives you a little perspective around how our revenue has been trending over the last 3 months. A couple of observations as we think about fare revenue, which continues to trend up. Although we do make note during the month of November, we did offer a free fare day for Black Friday. The other key takeaway looking at this trend chart, CPS did take a slight dip in the month of November. And we feel like that is heavily attributable to the short week during the week of Thanksgiving for CPS ridership. Turning the page to 5. Wages and benefits continue to be relatively flat for the month of November. We are seeing a slight uptick in fuel and lubricants, in large part due to the fact that our hedged cost per gallon did increase in the month of November. And so pulling those highline comments to specifically the income statement for the month of November, total revenue in the aggregate came in at $16.9 million, which is favorable to budget $4.4 million or 35%. Total expense came in at $12.7 million, which is unfavorable to budget at $133,000 or approximately 1.1%, yielding a surplus for the month of November at $4.2 million. Ridership, as previously discussed, came in at 887,000, which is favorable to budget, approximately 90,000 riders or 11.2%. Translating to the impact on revenue, total fares slightly unfavorable to budget at $25,000 or 2.2%. We do note that county sales tax was favorable to budget at approximately $1.3 million or 14.8%. Non-transportation revenue continues to run favorable to budget at $313,000 or 396%. Again, root cause there being the investment income. And then turning our attention to expenses for the month of November, wages and benefits were essentially flat. Parts and supplies, $212,000 unfavorable to budget or 34.8%. Root cause there being an increase in vehicle and revenue vehicle parts at $126,000. And then the last major component to describe here as far as expenses concerned is the all other bucket is favorable to budget $334,000, which we reported consistently over the last several months, being traced back to the outsourced services planning assumption in the Planning and Innovation Department in support of our external initiatives. And then the final page 7 is just simply the detail of the P&L that supports the summary that I just discussed. I'll take any questions.
I guess no question, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. You intimidate everybody, Larry. I guess they're scared of me. Thank you is what I meant to say. All right. Metro on the move.
I'd like to do something a little different today, if the board will allow me. Today is Donna's last board meeting. Donna has been with this organization for 42 years. And I can't think of anyone that's been a part of this organization that has done more for this organization than Donna. You have been my partner. You've been my work wife. You yell at me every single solitary day of the week. And this organization owes you a great debt of gratitude for your hard work, for your contribution. We would not be who we are today without you. And what I'd like to do is give anyone here an opportunity to get up and say something about Donna, if you like, or any one of the board members, if they'd like to say something about Donna.
I would. You know, and I'll just say it from here because Donna has been just great, great, great. She's a great human being, and she has just been good to me in all of my years of working here on this board. Donna has been, you talk about top drawer, great human being, great worker, and I'm just proud of you, and congratulations, 42 years. I'm only 35 myself. And so just keep it on, and whatever you do, I know you're going to be great at it, and I know you don't know how to be still, so I'm not worried about you. You just enjoy your life, and let me know whatever I can do, I will do. And I just thank you for the opportunity. Well, thank you.
For a long time.
For a long time. All of my 76 years. Thank you so much, Donna. Take care. And thank you, board and staff. I just say you guys, y'all make me look good. Thank you.
John, look at me.
Well, I'm known for my mushiness, Donna, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time for my mushiness. So 1980 was a long time ago, for those that aren't aware of that time period. A lot of important things happened back in 1980. Not only did Donna Atkins start here at Metro, but I think a lot of those historic events in 1980 kind of tie in and coincide with that historic event of Donna starting. For those that may not know, the Rubik's Cube debuted back in 1980. I think this is important because, like Donna, the Rubik's Cube is a multifaceted, colorful, complex device that no one can really ever figure out. Also in 1980, the U.S. defeated the Soviet Union in ice hockey. They dubbed that the Miracle on Ice. That's pretty important. I think that's also a historic tie-in to you because you've overcome a lot of tremendous odds to succeed throughout Metro. You've lived through a lot of very difficult CEOs, present company excluded. And you've risen to be a very well-regarded, revered leader. And I think that's important for everyone here to remember. Also in 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted. I'm just going to stop there. Talk about
Still
that.
erupting today.
Still erupting to this day. And then also in 1980, 3M debuted their Post-it note. Now, I think this is especially important because after having viewed Donna's filing system for a number of years, I think Donna single-handedly kept Post-it notes in the marketplace for 40 of those 42 years that they've been in existence. But all kidding aside, Donna, it's been tremendous working for you. You've been an incredible leader, an incredible advocate for public transit, for Metro, for procurement, for everything that we do in the organization. You've been an incredible counselor when I needed a counselor, put me in my place when I needed to be put in my place, but more importantly, you've just been a tremendous friend, and I'm going to miss you terribly. Thank you.
Right.
Miss Donna. No, I won't say anything long, but I remember when we met and you were coming off the elevator and I was going up the elevator of Northwest. Well, I was going to Northwest Mutual trying to get my finances together. And you were coming or going to get your finances together because you said, I'm out of here. I'm retiring. You didn't say it quite like that, but you were trying to get your finances together. And I thought to myself, well, she's getting out of here. I wonder what's wrong with that place. But I'm glad you stayed, and I'm actually happy that you're leaving because at that time you were looking to go. And so I know I make those little comments every once in a while. Like, when are you getting out of here? Because I think that you deserve that. And so I've been so grateful for you being here while I was here, at least, because I always knew that I could always have somebody when I didn't have an answer and didn't want to look stupid. I could call you. So congratulations on your retirement. I'm very happy for you.
Hi, everybody. Just real quick, there are many things to say about Donna, and I agree with everything said so far. But a combination of thank you to Donna and a plea for grace from the board. I mean, a lot of what happens from us that present to the board, and many of us that started to do that for the first time with Donna here, the guidance behind the scenes, how to do this, how to serve the board, how to engage the board, how to come up here and not ramble like I am right now, is the kind of training that Donna has given. I mean, your guidance in so many aspects. That's just one, but just fitting to mention here in front of the board on behalf of all of us that have had to do something like this for the first time and had Donna's guidance to do it well. Thank you very much for that, and so much other guidance and mentoring along the way. They're going to be missed. They already are.
If I can jump in real quick. Donna, thank you so much. Congratulations. I've always enjoyed talking to you on a personal level, very friendly. But I'm going to admit the thing I really appreciate is your intellect, and it's refined through experience. You always know the incisive, important thing on any topic we've talked about. And I have a lot of respect for that. Thank you very much, and it'll be sorely missed. Congratulations.
All right, I'll go last, I guess. Right, Donna. What I would tell you is that this board's been very effective for the time I've been here, and I believe that's in very, very large part due to Donna's work. It's easy for us to get in trouble, to go the wrong way, and Donna has always been steadfast about making sure that we live up, to our responsibilities, and we do it in a way that's open and transparent and honest for the community. And sometimes not always the easiest way, but at the right way. And I believe that. And it's 42 years, the system's changed dramatically. We know these last several years, particularly, we're in so much better shape, and I think we're in great shape, really, because of the work you've done. And I can't thank you enough. I probably would never have accepted to be the board chair if I know you didn't have my back to do that. And I appreciate all you've done. And I know maybe I'm not the easiest to work with all the time either, but we're in a great place. And I think, knowing you, we must be in a great place. I don't think you'd leave if you didn't think we were, right? And so a tribute to you that we're there in a position to give you the time to enjoy yourself. And don't go too far away, because I'm sure we'll have some questions. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you. We're so much better for having you here, and we all appreciate it very much. Stop it. All right, that was her speech. Thank you very much. I'm kidding you. All right. Any other new business? Anything you want to slip in from Metro Move that we didn't cover?
No, it is in there. It's also good news in Metro Moves, and we will continue with the good news next year. A lot of very, very exciting things going on here. I want to thank the board for pushing us hard every day.
Yeah. Get some rest over the holidays. The hard work's just started.
You got that right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Rod moves to adjourn. Anybody want to second it? Second. All right. Anybody want to comment? Let's talk about it. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Have a great night.